All right. So let's get started with module 3 of our training. And in module 3, we will be discussing about the performance testing process. And also, we will be identifying and testing one application that is usually created by trainees who undergo decisions developer training, Sprint 3 project. That's called as insurance claim project. So I have one API in that project that has some performance issues with it. So you will be writing some tests to identify those issues. And then there is a form that also has some performance issues. Again, you'll have to write some tests to identify the issue with the form. And then there are two dashboards. Both of them has some performance issues, and you'll have to do load testing of those dashboards and identify the performance issues. And then in module 4, you fix all of those issues. Uh, as of now, for this iteration 1 of the training program, we will not be discussing about performance troubleshooting related to message queues. We will be having this in the next iteration of our training program. So
I can see it right now in like presenter view. I don't know if
oh,
you,
all right. Let me change the screen that's being shared. Okay.
oh, there
Is
we
it
go.
fine now?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So we have a performance testing process, which is basically 5 steps that you perform as part of performance testing. And these 5 steps, you will have to perform in multiple phases based on different phases of the application performance tuning that you're going through. So just like in project application development, you have sprints. In each sprint, you go ahead and add some new features to the application. When it comes to performance testing, we have different phases. In each phase, we test out certain portions of the application, we identify the issues, and we fix it. So in each phase of performance testing, you will be performing 5 different activities as a performance tester. One is identifying the issue and scoping it. Next, doing the performance troubleshooting and then analyzing the results of the performance troubleshooting to get the root cause of the issue. And then go ahead and do the fourth activity, which is actually tune the performance of the application. And lastly, once the tuning is done, you once again um, compare the metrics, validate it, and verify the performance issues has been fixed or not. These are the 5 steps that as a developer you will do in each phase of the performance testing. So let's talk about each one of them. Wow. So phase 1, the step 1 is identifying and scoping the issue. First thing that you need to know is what is causing the slowness in your application. Let's say the application has multiple flows, so you need to know which flow needs to be tested. So as a developer, we need to know which designer element is causing the performance issues in our project. Let's say if there are 10 dashboards, exactly which dashboard has the performance issue. We need to know that. If it is, let's say, multiple APIs, then we need to know which API is slow so that we can do performance troubleshooting for it. So first thing that we always need to know is the element which is causing the performance issue. Also, we should assess the resource utilization, like when that particular flow is getting executed, what is the state of the resources? And you should also compare this with whatever resources that were supposed to be assigned to your server. So when you created that application, we we basically tell the customer that this application will run on a 4-core machine with 16 GB RAM. But let's say my customer is giving a 2-core machine with 4 GB of RAM. There is a resource issue over here. So we should go ahead and also assess that the required resources are assigned to that particular server. So we need to see that resources and also see if there is any resource utilization issue, like when the flow or the dashboard is running, is it causing a spike in CPU or memory? Then we also need to establish and identify the performance metrics that we want to measure for our application. For example, let's say the customer has agreed saying that this particular dashboard or this particular API should have a response time of 1 second. So we need to know about that before we go ahead and do the performance testing. So before we before we go ahead and fix any issues, these are the 3 things as a developer I should know so that I can perform the testing. Any questions?
No.
All right. Next is troubleshooting. The next step is troubleshooting, wherein we are going to go ahead and execute the load test. So we will go ahead and see what is the actual metrics that the application is reporting. So my customer said like this particular flow is supposed to have say 2 seconds as the response time, but I don't think it's having 2 seconds, it's taking more than 2 seconds. Then I need to know what amount of time it is taking. So we should go ahead and execute the load test onto the system and gather the metrics before we do any optimizations, so that when we do the optimizations, again, we can run the test and then compare these metrics and know whether the optimizations increased my performance of the application or they did not increase any performance. So first thing that we should do is we should execute some load tests to see what is the current metrics the system is reporting. And then we can also go ahead and generate a profiler.txt so that we can analyze this profiler. So let's say if it is a flow, I will go ahead and run the decisions profiler and download the profile.txt file before I make any changes into my application. Apart from that, we should also go ahead and look into the logs for identifying any slow steps, queries, or the API calls by doing this search using the keyword took. So we should also download the logs. Let's say if it is a server, we should go ahead and download the logs from that particular server, and then we should analyze those logs and the profiler. So the next step is identifying the cause of slowness. So the profiler.txt that was downloaded previously, the logs which were downloaded previously, now we need to analyze that to identify the reason for slowness. So if it is a step, we need to identify what step is taking too long, how many number of times a step is executing. All of these information, we should analyze it and we should document it so that we can go ahead and fix it later. So apart from that, let's say the profiler.txt that was downloaded, it's inconclusive. It's not giving me any directions on what's causing the slowness. So we should also go ahead and run .trace. And in case if there is significant memory spike and the flow that we have executed, it's not creating those many variables, but still there is a memory spike, then we should also capture the dot memory so that we know what is the reason for high memory usage. And then these dot trays and dot memory needs to be shared with the product engineering team so that they can tell us what's causing the problem. Whereas logs and the profile that we have captured from decisions, we can explore it and identify the slowness in the system. Any questions?
No.
Right. Now that we know that, let's say, XYZ step is causing an issue or what is the reason for an issue, we should work towards tuning the application performance to achieve better response time or achieve better performance. So when it comes to tuning, there are different things that we can do. Let's say if it is a bad design pattern which was implemented, then we will have to go ahead and fix that particular design pattern. For example, um, let's say I'm supposed to simply save the data into the database. I don't need process stacking, but the application or the flow was created in such a manner that it is using case entity as the data structure. So that's obviously a bad design over there. So we'll have to go ahead and identify if there is any design related issues. We have to optimize our flows to fix those design related issues. Next, there is a possibility that the specification that we gave to the customer for running the application, and they are not using the same specification. Instead of 4 core, they're using, let's say, 2 core machines. So we will have to do some resource adjustments in case if we see that there is no bad design issue, but the resources which were given to the system are simply not sufficient, then we'll have to do the resource adjustment as part of performance tuning. Do you remember how we can get the information about the resource usage on a server?
Resource. Let me look at my tools list here.
Mhm.
I think we can look at system activity internally
Okay.
and
System activity. Okay. Go on.
and then externally, external tools.
Okay. Which external tool you think we can use to identify the resource utilization?
Mm. We could use, okay, I think Datadog would do it.
Yes. So we can get the information using Datadog, and then based on that, we can suggest some changes. Then there can also be some slow performing queries. Let's say there is a fetch entities step, which is taking too long to execute. So we may have to go ahead and do, let's say, some database indexing so that the slow queries can execute faster. So that is also one of the performance tuning activity we can perform for our application. Other than that, there may also be some issues related to caching. For example, let's say we are fetching the same data multiple times from the database, and the data does not changes for, let's say, 10 minutes. Then it does not make sense to fetch that data multiple times from the database. We should go ahead and implement things like caching in that scenario. So again, as part of performance tuning, we will have to do something like caching certain outputs of subflows or some of the steps within decisions. And let's say there is a bunch of objects that are being processed by a subflow, and that subflow is taking few seconds to complete. Again, instead of processing those objects sequentially, in case if we can go ahead and process them parallelly, then again, as part of performance tuning, we can apply parallelism to our flows. Can you tell me the name of the step that is used for parallel processing in decisions?
No.
Okay, so we have run flows for list. If you might have heard about this particular step or used it in the past.
Yes.
Okay, so that is something which can be used in order to do parallel processing. So instead of processing the objects in a list sequentially, you process them parallelly using that step. And sometimes, even after doing all of these optimizations, my application is still slow, then that may be a legitimate case for a DT. So we can go ahead and raise a developer ticket or a defect ticket and then escalate it to T3 if necessary. Okay. So this is the whole performance tuning activities which we will perform as a developer to fix the slowness in a given flow or a dashboard or whatever we are testing. Any questions?
No.
All right. So once we identify and we fix the performance issues, we need to go ahead and verify whether the application is now performing better or not. So for that, we should once again run those load tests that we have created in the past, and then we should record the results and compare it with the previous results to know whether there is a performance improvement or not. For example, as part of my performance testing, let's say there was a dashboard which was slow, and I've identified that adding an index may fix this particular problem. So we added an index. Now, after adding the index, we should again run our load test to be certain that adding that index actually fix the problem or not. So we should verify the results, and we should also validate it with the customers. We should communicate it to them, and we should report our findings and our fixes that we have applied for the application. So this is the complete performance testing process that a developer will follow. It's a 5-step process. And again, you will repeat this in different phases of the performance testing. For example, in phase 1, let's say you're performance testing a dashboard, then these are the steps that you will perform. And then let's say in the next phase, you're testing again something else. Once again, these are the phases that you will have to, these are the steps that you will have to perform in the next phase as well. So it's going to be an iterative process. And within one phase, you may have to repeat this multiple times based on multiple issues that you have encountered, multiple bottlenecks that you have identified. So you may have to repeat this within a single phase multiple times as well. Any questions?
No.
All right. So now we will go ahead and see the application that we are going to performance test. I have only this much when it comes to the presentation for this module. It's mostly the hands-on that you will be doing in this particular module. I'll share the project. Actually, I've already shared it with the team in the morning. So let me walk you through what we have. So let me end this slideshow. Why is this? Okay. So if we go to this PS training channel here, I've shared this project called as PAT Insurance Claim. this is the project that has some performance issues in it. And I will walk you through this particular project. I believe you might have done this project as part of your developer training. Have you worked on this insurance claim project?
Yes.
All right. So it's the same project, but I did made few changes into that project, and I will walk you through what are the things that you will be testing in this project. And in order to test this project, we will also require some data. So I did upload the data over here. There is a database backup file, which is 1.13 GB that you will have to download and apply it onto the database. And I would suggest you do it into the virtual machine rather than doing it on your local, because this will replace your local database. If there are any projects in it, it will be lost.
Okay. On
Yeah,
the virtual machine, wouldn't I need to like reinstall Decisions?
it's already installed. If you have this virtual machine that you have downloaded, it's already having Decisions. You can start by applying this backup and working with this project. Backup already has this project as well as all the data that is required. Okay, let me walk you through this project once, and then I will help you out with setting up the virtual machine if you need any help.
Okay.
All right, so and let's turn this off. Okay, so here is the project. So it's present inside a folder performance testing demo. Then this is the project. So in the project, we have one dashboard here. Actually, there are two dashboards and both of them are very slow. As you can see here, it's taking quite some time to load.
I
And
can't
then
see your
there,
screen right now.
oh, you're not able to. I am sharing my whole screen. Just a second.
Okay.
Yes, it is already sharing. Are you able to see?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the project. I just logged into the virtual machine and the project is performance testing demos, and the name of the project inside this is PAT insurance claim. So if I go to the dashboard here, there are two dashboards. One is this request history and another one is validation history. Both of them are very slow. If you see here,
Yes.
they're taking quite some time, around 10 seconds they'll take to load properly. And let me go back to, so you will be doing load testing for this dashboard. And then we also have some flows. Let me expand this, go to flows. So there is this API that I have created. You will be going ahead and doing the testing for this particular API as well. So if we go to integration, view integration details. So this one basically takes a client ID as input and returns all of the insurance claim validations that has failed for that particular client. it's going to return me that. So all invalid claims for that client, say if I give the client ID A, it's going to go ahead and return me all the failed validation errors for that particular client. Again, this is something which is slow, and it's going to take some time to again return me the result. So this is, again, you will be load testing it, identifying the issues and fixing it. And we also have one more flow, submit claim request. So if I run this, it has a form, and this form basically is having two issues. One is it's slow when I go ahead and choose my insurance provider. It's going to take some time to fill the claim types here in the second drop down. See, now I have a claim type. But again, if I go ahead and change it, it's once again gonna take some time to populate this claim type one more time. Also, when I submit this, it's also gonna go ahead and cause some memory related issues that you will have to identify and fix it. So these are the things that you're gonna work on in this particular project. And for this project, we have a lot of data that I have generated in the database, and the customers is the one who will provide you with this data when you are doing performance testing. They may give this data in CSV format, or they may give some SQL scripts, or they may give you a backup of the database. So I do have all three of them. I do have CSV, I do have scripts, I do have a backup. So depending on what customer is providing, we will have to go ahead and use these files to restore our database and have some realistic data for doing performance testing. So when it comes to this backup, the way you're going to work with this backup is pretty simple. I have the same backup downloaded here onto my virtual machine. So if I want to go ahead and restore from this backup, I can right click the database and then go to tasks. And then we can go ahead and say restore database. So from this restore backup window, we will have to select device and then click on these three dots and click add. Look for that backup file wherever it is stored, and then from there we go ahead and do a restore. Like here it is also present in my C drive. You can select that, click OK, and then apply. Now, when you apply this backup, there is a possibility that there may be active database connections. So you'll have to go to options and then select this close connections to the destination database. Otherwise, the backup will not be applied because there are active connections to the database. All right. And if the database is already present, you may have to override that database. So this is again another option. This should only be done in the test environment, and this is not the recommendation for the production environment. Any questions?
I mean, it makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm going to remember all of those buttons, but everything that you just said makes perfect sense. Yes.
I am already recording it, so if you want to try it out, we can do that post session, as well as I'm gonna help you restore or generate this data once I'm done with this demo. Right, so this is one thing that we can do as developers. Another option is sometimes the customers, they will provide us with the SQL scripts. So we can use those SQL scripts to generate the data into our database. So here I do have this SQL scripts, like there is script 1 and there is script 2. So if I open it, it's a large file. It will take some time to open in SQL Server Management Studio. And once it's open, I can go ahead and click this execute button to generate all of this data into my database. Now, when the script file is too large, SQL Server Management Studio, as you can see, it's already very slow. You can execute these scripts from the command line. So here, I do have a command for executing these scripts from the command line. You can say SQL CMD -s and then specify the server name. This server name, you will find it in SQL Server Management Studio. Here is the server name. And then we specify -u and give the user ID and password to connect with that database. And then -i and path to the SQL script in double quotes. So wherever this script file is present, we have to give the complete path along with the file name and then hit enter, which will go ahead and do the exact same thing which SQL Server Management Studio is going to do, execute all the queries to generate the data. This is the second option. The third way is the customers may also provide sometimes instead of a database script, they may give me a CSV file. Like here, I have two different CSV files. Let me open it in Notepad. So there is a CSV file here that the customer, let's say it's giving me, then I can use this CSV file to generate the data in my database. So all I have to do is go back to databases, right click, go to task and choose import data. And from the import data wizard, we will select next. The first thing that we will select over here is source, which will be the flat file. And then we'll click on browse and select that CSV file. You can also go ahead and see what are the columns and a preview of your data. Then we say next. The destination is going to be Microsoft OLEDB provider for SQL Server. And then we go ahead and fill in the server name, the user ID password, and the database in which we want to add this data. Then we click next. In this window, you will select the CSV file and in which table you want to import that particular data. So let's say I want to import the data into this table. That insurance claim, that's the table name. So this is the data structure that I have created in that application. So if we go back to data types, I can see that there is this data structures that are created, simple data structures. These two data structures are translated into tables. I can select one of the tables over here and then import the data into that table so that I can do some performance testing with real-time data. Excuse me. Where is it? There. And we can preview and say next. Click next, and then click next and finish, which will go ahead and import all of the data. I'm not going to click on that because I've already done it for my application and I do have the data. So I'll just exit out of this wizard. So these are the three ways in which the customer may provide you with the data that you need for testing. But there are more ways they can provide you the data. Like they may give you the whole database itself instead of a backup. They may give you a backpack file where you will have to import. So there are more ways in which they can give, but these are the three uh, basic ways there in which we can transfer the data from one database to another database. Any questions?
No.
All right, so now I will help you set up this thing. I hope you have downloaded that back file.
I hope so. I downloaded everything I saw, so hopefully
Okay.
it's there.
All right. So let's go ahead and also I did share these things into the Slack channel, right?
When I look in my downloads now, I do see this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I did it.
The backup file is not there. You do have a virtual machine. All right, let's go ahead and set up the virtual machine. Can you click on import virtual machine here? Where is screen annotations? Yes, click next. Click on browse. Go to your downloads. You might have that virtual machine folder, that one, virtual machine. Yes, select that. Say select folder. Next. 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 Click on browse. Go to downloads again. So here you have that virtual HD file. Simply say select.
The what?
Just select the downloads folder.
Okay.
Say next. Okay. Click on browse button. Go to downloads folder again. Can you select that decisions? This second one. Okay. There are two over there, right?
Okay.
So choose the latest one that you have. Which one is the latest?
Like the
Okay,
one
you
that
can
was
choose any one that's 23 GB. That should be fine. Any one should be fine. Yes. Say next. Say finish. All right. Now right click decisions over there and click on connect. Click on start.
Whoa.
So if you want full screen, you can click on drag that slider to the large and click on connect. Depending on what screen resolution you want, you can select that slider and click connect.
I'm just gonna do that.
The default password over here is admin123 capital A. All right.
Oh my
Open
gosh.
Chrome browser. Yeah, you'll have to maximize it. All right. You can close this window that is open, shut down event tracker. Access localhost here. Okay, that's fine. Decisions is not running right now. We'll have to start it from the services. That's fine. Close this window, please. All right. Can you download that backup file and copy it into this virtual machine? Minimize it. You see there is a action bar at above here with a minimize icon, the blue color one. You can close this server manager. Yeah, click on that minimize. So it's minimized. Now go to your downloads folder and see if that file is downloaded or not, that backup file.
Mm.
Okay, the backup is not there. Can you explicitly download it from the drive?
I'm not even sure which one you mean right now.
Okay, I'll show you. Minimize this and go back to the Google Drive. Minimize this as well, Hyper-V. All right. So if you go to that Google Drive folder that I've given you access to earlier,
Okay, 1 second.
yeah, here you can see that file, decisions.bak. That's the backup file. Download it, please. Is it taking too long? Or is it getting downloaded? Yeah, it's getting downloaded. I believe that update of user interface is taking long. All right. Now copy this from the downloads folder and paste it inside the virtual machine. You'll have to expand today. It's no, back in the downloads folder. Today, yeah, that one. Second file.
Mm.
Copy. Go to your virtual machine. Paste it here. Actually paste it in C drive because we will have to restore from that. Okay, can you move it to the C drive, please? Click on this PC. Yeah. All right. Now let's open SQL Server Management Studio. It's already installed in the virtual machine.
Okay.
Yes. Here you will have to change few things. Change the authentication from Windows to SQL. Give the login as SA. Type it SA. Password is admin123 again, capital A. You can click on remember password. And encryption is optional. Trust server certificate, select it. Click connect. All right. Now expand databases here. Right click decisions and go to task. Select restore database. Click on device. There is a button. Yes, click on that. Add. Here, scroll up and select the C drive. You see the backup file .bak. Click OK. Click OK. Click OK. All right. Go to options. On this page, there is a pane with 3 options: general, files, and options. On the right hand side, select a page. If you see here,
Options.
left side, yes. Select that first checkbox and remove the tail log backup. Yes. Right. Click OK again. Done. Say OK. Now again, these 2 options that we did just now, they should not be done on a production database.
Okay.
All right. So now we need to just restart decisions. So go to services.
Services within this or services?
Yes, inside this services. You can go to run command, click on start menu and type run. Or type services in the search. Yeah, services. Open it. Look for decisions and right click decision server and say start. It's quite slow.
Also, I'm not sure if we talked about it. Tomorrow is a holiday here.
I wasn't aware. Okay. I can cancel tomorrow's session then. For our IST guys also, there is no session tomorrow because they have team lunch, I believe. So there's no session. Right. May I know what is the holiday tomorrow for?
It's Juneteenth.
Okay. Fine. All right. Is it done or still?
I think it's done.
Okay. Now let's go to browser and access decisions. Say login. The password is admin.
Capital A.
Small, all small. You can click on update the password so that it saves it. All right. So now you have that same application with all the data that I have. Can you go ahead and expand performance training demo and just take a look at whether you are getting the dashboards and all. So there are two dashboards here, request history, validation history, and the flows, everything. So you will be starting the testing with that API that we have seen. If you go to the flows folder, you should find one API there. Invalid claim for client ID. So we will be starting with that. Okay. So here's what I want you to do is write a load test for this API using JMeter. I will assist you with the load test if you're getting stuck, but most of the heavy lifting will be done by you in these two modules, module 3 and module 4.
Okay, so you want a load test with JMeter.
Yes.
Okay.
So I believe we are already near the end of the day for today. So if you want to try it out and come with the JMeter script for our next session, it will work, or you can do it in the next session itself if you want to.
Okay. I will do my
All right.
best and then I will message you if I have particular questions. Okay.
Sure. Lastly, one last thing we will change in that virtual machine.
Ooh.
Can you go back? Let's search and look for Windows firewall settings. Yes.
Firewall and network protection?
Yes, you can open that. Then here, look for advanced settings here. There is a list of settings, last but one, advanced settings. Yeah. So now go to inbound rules. Add a new rule here. On the right side, you see an option, new rule. Click on port. Click next. Enter the port as 80. 80. Yes. Next. 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 Give it a name. You can say inbound 80.
Ooh.
inbound 8080.
Oh.
Yeah. Say finish. Now open command prompt here. Close this. Go to start menu and search for command prompt.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Yes. Run a command here called as ipconfig. ipconfig, CONFIG.
One
Yes.
word? Okay.
Yes. Copy the value for IP address IPv4. V4. The third one. 172.23.103.249. No, not that one. The third one. Yeah, that's the one. Copy that. Minimize the virtual machine. Go to your browser and paste that IP address. Yep. You can give the username as admin@decisions.com and password is admin. ADMIN. Okay, license you will have to generate for this. All right. Do you know how to generate the license and apply?
No.
Okay, I'll just walk you through it. Can you open support.decisions.com? Go to workflow catalog on the left side, the 4 squares. Yeah. Expand support. Then here you have license generator. Okay, it's not showing up. Can you expand IT maybe? No, you don't have a license generator. Okay. Okay. You don't have a license generator. So a license generator is the one that allows you to generate license for decisions. And if you have the license for decisions, you install it on one server and access it from another machine. Like right now, decisions is running inside a virtual machine. You access it from your host operating system. It's giving you that licensing error, right? That can be fixed if you have a license. All right. So if we don't have a license option, I can generate one for you so that you don't have to get into that virtual machine. You can run the virtual machine in background, write your load test on your local system, and then test it out. Otherwise, you will have to do everything inside the virtual machine. Okay, so let me go to support.decisions.com. You do need to give me a machine key, which you will find inside the virtual machine. So can you go to the virtual machine? Oh, where is generate license for me also? I don't see that. I believe they may have removed that option. Hold on. Yes. Yeah, they did remove that option to generate the licenses. Not sure why, but I can't even see it on my system as well. Okay. All right, then we will have to do all of the work inside the virtual machine itself. That means You will need to have JMeter inside the virtual machine, Java also installed into the virtual machine, like we did when we were working with JMeter, right? All of these things needs to be installed within this virtual machine.
Okay.
All right. So fine. You can go ahead and try out the testing, and then I will help you out if required in the next session.
Okay,
All
sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll stop the session here, and I'll let you go for today.
Okay. Have a good one.
Thank you. You